Jonas Vale stared at his phone at midnight, watching his boss's name flash across the screen. Clara Hawthorne, the woman who'd made him cry in a supply closet last month, was calling for help. He should have ignored it. God knows she'd ignored him enough times. But that desperate text, "Please help, I'm in trouble," made his chest tight. He kissed his sleeping daughter's forehead and walked out the door, not knowing this single decision would shatter everything he thought he knew about mercy power and the price of being human. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end of this story, because what happens next will restore your faith in second chances. And comment below with your city so I can see how far this story travels across the world. I should let you drown in whatever mess you've made for yourself. Jonas said it out loud to his empty car as he drove through rain-slicked streets, knuckles white on the steering wheel. The dashboard clock glowed 12:47 a.m. 40 minutes earlier, he'd been lying on the floor with Ariana helping her color a picture of their apartment building. She'd drawn them in the window, two stick figures, one big and one small, holding hands. "Where's the mommy?" she'd asked, yellow crayon hovering over the paper. Jonas's throat had closed up. "It's just us, baby girl. But that's enough, right?" Ariana had studied the picture, then nodded. "We're enough, Daddy." Now he was driving toward the one person who'd told him last month that his limited education was showing in front of the entire executive team. Clara Hawthorne, Director of Operations, the woman who'd walked past him in the hallway yesterday like he was furniture. His phone buzzed again. "Jonas, please. Bartender has my keys, won't give them back. I can't. I just can't." The words were sloppy, autocorrect failing. She was drunk. Clara Hawthorne, who left company functions after exactly 45 minutes with her lipstick still perfect, was drunk enough to beg. Jonas nearly turned around twice. He thought about last month's performance review. Adequate. 3 years of staying late, fixing her mistakes, running her reports, and he was adequate. He'd gone home and stared at Ariana's tuition fund, the one that barely grew, no matter how many extra hours he worked. The bar was called Meridian. Valet parking, marble entrance, the kind of place where drinks cost what Jonas spent on groceries. He pulled up in his dented Honda, and the valet's face said everything. "I'm picking someone up." "Sir, you can't." 5 minutes. Jonas's voice came out harder than intended. The kid stepped back, and Jonas felt that familiar shame. He softened. "Please, emergency." Inside Meridian was dim lighting and leather jazz playing low, beautiful people laughing over appetizers he couldn't pronounce. He felt every thread of his Walmart jacket. The bartender spotted him first. Young guy, carefully maintained, beard, eyes full of relief. "You're the guy she called? Where is she?" "Back corner. Been here since 6. Cut her off an hour ago, but she won't leave without her keys." He lowered his voice. "Look, I feel bad, but I can't let her drive like this." Jonas found her slumped in a corner booth, designer blazer askew, perfect blonde hair falling loose, her forehead pressed against the table, one hand still wrapped around an empty glass. "Ms. Hawthorne." She lifted her head slow. Her eyes were red-rimmed mascara, smudged, completely unfocused. For 3 seconds, she didn't recognize him. Then her face crumpled. "Jonas." Her voice cracked. "You came. You called. I'm a terrible person." Matter of fact, reading a grocery list. "Did you know that—" "You're drunk?" "I'm honest." She laughed like breaking glass. "First time in years I'm being honest." She tried to stand, wobbled hard. Jonas caught her arm. She stared at his hand on her elbow with wonder. "You're always catching things." "What?" "Catching things. Catching people." Her eyes found his face. "I don't deserve it." Something twisted in Jonas's chest. He'd imagined this moment. Clara vulnerable, needing him. In his fantasies he'd walked away. Left her to figure it out. Given her a taste of dismissal. But looking at this broken woman barely holding her head up, he couldn't. "Let's get you home." "No." Whisper. "It's so empty there. So cold. You know what it's like to live somewhere that doesn't feel like living." "Yes. I lived in my car for 3 months. I know exactly what that feels like." He didn't say it, just helped her stand, steadied her when she swayed, guided her toward the door. Getting her to his car took forever. She kept stopping, saying she needed to tell him something important, then forgetting. She cried twice, deep shaking sobs that seemed to surprise her. "I'm sorry." Over and over. "I'm so sorry." Jonas didn't know if she meant him or someone else. He drove carefully while she rambled. Her mother. Bits and pieces that didn't connect. Something about a garden. About promises. About being strong enough to carry everything alone. Today's the anniversary. Suddenly clear. 5 years. 5 years since I held her hand and watched her die. Jonas's hands tightened on the wheel. She had pancreatic cancer. 6 weeks from diagnosis to gone. 6 weeks. Clara's voice went hollow. The last thing she said was, "Don't let this make you hard, Clara. Don't let grief turn you into stone." And what did I do? I became exactly that. Stone. "I'm sorry." Everyone's always sorry. Sorry doesn't bring people back. She turned to look at him, eyes focused with that intense clarity of the very drunk. "You lost someone too. I can see it. Like a weight you carry in your bones." He said nothing. Didn't tell her about Ariana's mother, about the overdose, about finding her in the bathroom while his baby screamed in the next room. That wasn't Clara's story. Her penthouse was all marble and doormen. Marcus, the night attendant, rushed over. "Ms. Hawthorne, are you?" "She's fine, just needs rest." "I can take her from here, sir." Clara's fingers dug into Jonas's arm. "No." Jonas stays. Marcus looked uncertain but stepped back. Jonas helped her into the elevator. The ride up was silent except for Clara's uneven breathing. The penthouse was worse than Jonas imagined. White walls, white furniture, abstract art that probably cost more than his annual salary. Not one photograph, not one personal item. It looked like a hotel room for ghosts. "It's awful, isn't it?" Clara followed his gaze. "Had a decorator do it. She said timeless and elegant. She meant empty. She meant dead." Jonas guided her to the couch, found a blanket. She caught his hand before he could pull away. "Thank you. For not leaving me there. For being decent when I've never given you a reason." "That's not how decency works. You don't earn it. It's the baseline for how we should treat each other." She stared at him. Her eyes filled with tears. "I forgot that. Somewhere along the way, I forgot people could just be kind." He moved to the kitchen for water. When he came back, Clara's phone was buzzing. She grabbed it, squinted at the screen, and went pale. "No, no, no, no." She tried to stand, couldn't. "It's Richard. Richard Castellano." Jonas knew that name. Everyone did. Castellano Industries, their biggest client. 6 months of cultivation. Multi-million-dollar deal, closing Monday. Clara answered, hands shaking. "Richard, hello, The angry voice was loud enough Jonas heard every word. "Is this how you do business, Clara? Getting plastered on a Friday when we have a presentation? Monday morning, Mitchell just called me from Meridian. Said you were making a scene, couldn't stand up straight. Said you were pathetic." Clara's face crumbled. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Jonas didn't think. He reached over and took the phone. "Mr. Castellano, this is Jonas Vale, Ms. Hawthorne's senior operations manager." "Who?" "Jonas Vale. There's been a family emergency tonight, a personal matter requiring immediate attention. Ms. Hawthorne handled it with complete professionalism. I can assure you she'll be fully prepared Monday." Silence. Then, Clara never mentioned a senior operations manager. Jonas looked at Clara's shocked face. She prefers to keep the team in the background, sir. But I've worked on the Castellano account for 4 months. I know every detail of Monday's proposal. Every number, every projection, every contingency. Is that right? Yes, sir. And I can guarantee Monday you'll have her complete focus. You have my personal word. Another pause. What did you say your name was? Jonas Vale. Well, Mr. Vale, you better hope your boss is sharp as a knife on Monday, because if she's not, we're done. We'll take our business to Friedman and Associates. You tell her that. I will, sir. Thank you for your understanding. Jonas ended the call, handed the phone back. Clara took it with trembling hands, staring at him like he'd just pulled her from a burning building. You lied to a client. For me. I saved your deal. Why? The word broke. I've been horrible to you. I've undermined you, dismissed. You made you feel small in front of everyone. Why would you help me? Jonas stood exhausted. It was 2 a.m. Ariana would wake in 5 hours wanting pancakes and cartoons. Because someone has to stop the cycle, Ms. Hawthorne. Someone has to choose to be decent even when it's not deserved, even when it's not returned. He walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Clara sat there looking lost in her own home. Mascara streaked clutching that phone like a lifeline. And for what it's worth, Jonas said quietly. I'm sorry about your mother. I know what it's like to lose someone and have the world expect you to keep functioning. To be strong when all you want is to break. So I'm sorry. And I mean it. He left before she could respond. The drive home was strange, quiet. Jonas felt untethered. He'd just saved the job of a woman who'd spent 3 years making his life miserable. He'd lied to a major client. He'd seen Clara Hawthorne cry, seen her break, seen her human. And he didn't regret it. When he got home, Mrs. Patterson was asleep on his couch. Jonas paid her the $20 he could barely afford, thanked her, and locked the door. Ariana's room was dark except for her nightlight, the one shaped like a star. She was curled up clutching her stuffed rabbit, breathing soft and even. Jonas stood in the doorway watching her, feeling the weight of everything pressed down. He was raising this girl alone, working a job where he was constantly reminded he wasn't enough, didn't have the right degree, the right background, the right polish, fighting every day to give her better than what he'd had. And tonight, he'd chosen kindness over revenge. He still didn't know if that made him strong or stupid. Jonas's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Clara. Got your number from HR. I know you're probably asleep. I just wanted to say thank you doesn't cover it. What you did tonight. I don't have words. I'll find them. I promise I'll find them. Thank you for seeing me as human when I haven't acted like one. Jonas stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed back. Get some sleep, Ms. Hawthorne. Monday's coming. He crawled into bed at 3 a.m., certain that Monday would arrive and Clara would pretend nothing happened. That's what powerful people did. They took what they needed and forgot who gave it. He'd be adequate again by Monday morning. Maybe worse if she decided his lie was worth punishing. But at least he'd sleep knowing he'd done the right thing. At least he'd still be someone Ariana could be proud of. That had to be enough. What Jonas didn't know, couldn't know, as exhaustion finally pulled him under, was that 3 miles away, Clara Hawthorne sat stone sober now on her white couch in her empty penthouse with his words echoing. Someone has to stop the cycle. She'd spent 5 years building walls. 5 years proving she needed no one, couldn't be hurt by anyone. 5 years becoming exactly what her mother had begged her not to become. And in one night, a man she'd treated like dirt had shown her more grace than she'd shown anyone since her mother died. Clara looked around her penthouse, saw it clearly for the first time. This wasn't a home. It was a tomb she'd built for herself. A punishment. A way to make sure she never felt anything again. She picked up her phone, opened her contacts, stared at Jonas's name. She didn't call. Not yet. But she didn't delete it either. Clara walked to her bedroom and pulled a box from the top of her closet. Inside were photos. Her mother in the garden. Her mother laughing. Her mother sick, but still smiling, still trying to make Clara laugh. The last photo was from the hospital. Her mother's hand in hers. Paper-thin skin. That final squeeze. Don't let grief turn you into stone, baby. Promise me. I promise, Mom. Clara had broken that promise within 6 months. But promises could be remade, couldn't they? She set the photo on her nightstand, the first personal item in this apartment in 5 years. Then she opened her laptop and started typing. Jonas Vale. Employee Performance Review. Revision. She worked until dawn, cross-referencing every project Jonas had touched, every report he'd run, every crisis he'd quietly fixed while she took credit. The picture that emerged made her sick. This man had been holding her department together while she'd dismissed him as adequate. This man had caught her mistakes before they became disasters. This man had stayed late, come in early, and never once complained, and she'd treated him like he was invisible. By 6 a.m., Clara had made 2 decisions. First, Monday morning was going to be very different. Second, she was going to figure out how to be human again, even if it killed her, even if it was hard, even if she'd forgotten how. Her mother had asked for one thing, one promise. It was time to finally keep it. Sunday passed in a blur for Jonas. Ariana wanted to go to the park, so they went. She wanted to make cookies, so they made them. She wanted him to read her favorite book 3 times, so he did. But his mind kept drifting to Clara's text, to her broken face, to the way she'd looked at him when he'd saved her deal like he'd performed a miracle. "Daddy, you're not listening," Ariana said, tugging his sleeve. "Sorry, baby. What did you say?" "I said Mrs. Patterson told me you had to help someone last night. Someone important." Jonas knelt down to her level. "Yeah, I did." "Was it scary?" "No, just sad." Ariana thought about this seriously. Then she wrapped her arms around his neck. "You're good at helping sad people, Daddy. You helped me when I was sad about Mommy." Jonas held her tight eyes burning. "You helped me too, you know that." "I know." She pulled back, grinning. "We help each other. That's what families do." Sunday night, Jonas laid out his work clothes. The same khakis he always wore, the same button-down with the frayed collar, the same shoes he'd resoled twice. He set his alarm for 6. Tomorrow, he'd go back to being invisible, back to being adequate. But tonight, just for tonight, he let himself believe maybe something had shifted. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. Jonas dropped Ariana at school, kissed her goodbye, and drove to the office. He got there at 7:30 like always. Parked in the back lot like always. Took the stairs to the 5th floor like always. The office was empty, except for a few early birds. Jonas went to his desk, booted up his computer, and started going through emails. At 8:15, the elevator dinged. Clara Hawthorne stepped out. She was perfect again. Hair in a tight bun, designer suit pressed, heels clicking, lipstick exact. She carried 2 coffee cups and a small bag from the bakery across the street. She walked straight to Jonas's desk. Everyone in the early morning crowd stopped, stared. Clara Hawthorne never came to the 5th floor, never spoke to junior staff, never acknowledged anyone below director level. "Jonas," her voice was steady, professional. "Do you have a minute?" He stood slowly. "Yes, Ms. Hawthorne." "My office, please." She turned and walked to the elevator. Jonas followed, feeling every pair of eyes on his back. In the elevator, Clara handed him one of the coffees. "Black, 2 sugars. That's how you take it, right?" Jonas stared at the cup. "How did you—" "I pay attention." The elevator doors opened to the executive floor. "I haven't always, but I'm starting now." Her office was corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the whole city. Clara gestured to the chair across from her desk. Jonas sat. She set the bakery bag down, then opened a folder. I spent the weekend reviewing your work, she said. 3 years of it. Every project, every report, every contribution. She looked up. Her eyes were different, softer. Do you know what I found? Jonas's heart hammered. What? That you've been doing exceptional work while I took credit for it. That you've caught mistakes that would have cost us millions. That you've mentored junior analysts, improved our processes, and held this department together. She paused. And I've called you adequate. Jonas said nothing. I was wrong. Clara's voice cracked slightly. I was cruel, and I'm sorry. Ms. Hawthorne, let me finish. She slid a paper across the desk. This is a promotion, Senior Operations Manager. 30% salary increase, full benefits, flexible schedule so you can pick up your daughter from school. It's effective immediately. Jonas stared at the paper. The numbers didn't make sense. This kind of promotion, this kind of money. Why? He whispered. Because Friday night you showed me what I'd forgotten. That decency isn't earned. That kindness doesn't need a reason. Clara's hands were steady now. And because you deserve it. You've always deserved it. I just couldn't see past my own walls. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept it. Jonas looked down at the paper. At the salary that would change everything for Ariana. At the title that meant respect. At the flexible schedule that meant he could actually be present for his daughter. Then he looked up at Clara. She wasn't the Ice Queen anymore. She was just a woman trying to be better. I accept, he said quietly. Thank you. No. Clara's eyes shimmered. Thank you. For not leaving me in that bar. For saving my deal. For showing me I could still be human. She opened the bakery bag. And for reminding me that some promises are worth keeping even 5 years late. Inside were 2 croissants and 2 apple turnovers. I didn't know which you'd prefer, she said with a small smile. So I got both. Jonas felt something crack open in his chest. Not pity, not obligation, just recognition. 2 people who'd been broken sitting across a desk trying to figure out how to be whole again. The turnover, he said. Ariana loves those. I'll bring it home to her. Oh, Clara's smile widened. Tell her they're from the Dragon Lady. Jonas laughed, actually laughed. I'm not telling my 8-year-old I work for a dragon. Fair enough. Clara stood, extending her hand. Partners then. Fresh start. Jonas stood and shook her hand. Her grip was firm, equal. Fresh start, he agreed. As Jonas left her office croissant and turnover in hand promotion letter tucked under his arm, he felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Behind her desk, Clara watched him go. Then she picked up the photo she'd brought from home. Her mother in the garden laughing. She set it on the corner of her desk, where she'd see it every day. I'm trying, Mom, she whispered. I'm finally trying. Outside the windows, the city woke up. Monday morning in full swing. People rushing deals, closing life, moving forward. And somewhere in the middle of it all, 2 people who'd saved each other without meaning to were taking their first steps toward something neither of them had expected. Redemption didn't announce itself. It just started. One choice at a time. The news spread through the office like wildfire by Tuesday morning. Jonas Vale, the quiet guy from the 5th floor, who nobody paid attention to, had been promoted to Senior Operations Manager. 30% raise. Office on the executive floor. Direct report to Clara Hawthorne. The same Clara Hawthorne who'd made 3 assistants cry last year. I give it 2 weeks, Marcus from accounting said at the coffee station. She'll chew him up and spit him out like everyone else. Did you see her walk him out yesterday? Jennifer from HR whispered. She was smiling, actual smiling. I didn't know her face could do that. Jonas heard the whispers, felt the stares. He kept his head down and focused on moving his things to his new office. It was small, nothing like Clara's corner suite, but it had a door, a window, a desk that wasn't a hand-me-down, and a photo frame Ariana had decorated with stickers that said, "World's Best Dad." Clara knocked on his open door at 10 a.m. sharp. Settling in, getting there. Jonas gestured to the boxes. Still feels strange. It'll feel normal soon. She held up a tablet. I need your input on the Castellano presentation. We have 6 hours before we meet them. They worked through lunch. Clara presented her slides while Jonas caught the weak points, the places where Castellano would push back. She listened to every suggestion, adjusted every slide he questioned, treated him like an equal. This section on projected growth, Jonas said, pointing. Castellano's CFO is going to want harder numbers. He's conservative, hates projections based on market trends. What do you suggest? Historical data. Show him what we've done for similar clients. Concrete results, not possibilities. Clara nodded, already typing. That's smart. That's really smart. You would have thought of it. Maybe. She looked up. But I didn't. You did. That's why you're here. At 3 p.m. they walked into the conference room. Richard Castellano sat at the head of the table with his CFO and 2 VPs. All men. All in suits that cost more than Jonas's car. Castellano's eyes went straight to Jonas. Mr. Vale, we meet in person. Mr. Castellano. Jonas shook his hand firmly. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Let's see if you earn it. The presentation lasted 90 minutes. Clara led, but she pulled Jonas in on every technical question. They moved like a team, finishing each other's sentences, backing each other up. When Castellano's CFO challenged their growth projections, Jonas was ready with historical data. When the VPs questioned timeline, Clara had contingencies. By the end, Castellano was leaning back in his chair, arms crossed, the hint of a smile on his face. Well, he said, that was impressive. Clara kept her expression neutral. Does that mean? It means you've got a deal, Ms. Hawthorne. He stood, extending his hand. Pending legal review, of course. But yes, you've got your contract. Clara shook his hand, and Jonas saw her exhale relief. Thank you, Mr. Castellano. We won't disappoint you. See that you don't. Castellano turned to Jonas. And Mr. Vale. Whatever she's paying you, make sure it's enough. You just saved her bacon with that historical data. Just doing my job, sir. Do it well. Castellano gathered his papers. We'll be in touch by Friday. When they left, Clara and Jonas walked to the elevator in silence. The doors closed. Clara pressed the button for their floor. Then she let out a laugh, breathless, disbelieving, real. We did it! You did it, Jonas said. That was your presentation. We did it together. She turned to him, eyes bright. 6 months of work, 6 months of chasing this account, and we just closed it. She paused. I couldn't have done it without you today. That historical data, the way you handled the CFO, that was all you. I'm glad I could help. The elevator opened. Clara stepped out, then turned back. Jonas, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Okay. Do you trust me? After everything, Jonas thought about Friday night, about her broken in that bar, about the promotion, the apology, the way she'd listened today. I'm learning to. That's fair. She nodded slowly. I'm learning to trust myself again too. So we'll figure it out together. That night, Jonas picked Ariana up from after-school care at 5 p.m. instead of 6:30. First time in 3 years he'd been early. She ran to him, backpack bouncing. Daddy, you're here. I'm here, baby girl. He scooped her up. How was school? Good. We learned about the water cycle. And guess what? Tommy said I have pretty hair. Jonas's heart clenched. His baby was growing up. Tommy's got good taste. On the drive home, Ariana chattered about her day while Jonas listened, really listened, without worrying about getting back to the office. His new schedule meant flexible hours, meant he could actually be present. At home, he made spaghetti, while Ariana did homework at the kitchen table. Their apartment was small, one bedroom for her, the couch that folded out for him, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people. But it was theirs. "Daddy." Ariana looked up from her math worksheet. "Are you happy?" Jonas paused, wooden spoon in hand. "What makes you ask that? You're smiling more. Like today when you picked me up. You weren't tired like usual. I got a promotion at work, remember? It means I can spend more time with you." "Is it because of the lady you helped?" Jonas turned around fully. "How did you know about that?" "Mrs. Patterson told me you helped someone who was sad." Ariana tilted her head. "Did it make things better?" "Yeah, baby. I think it did." "Good." She went back to her math. "Mommy used to say helping people makes the world less scary. I think she was right." Jonas's throat closed up. Ariana barely remembered her mother. She'd been 3 when Sarah died. But sometimes she said things that sounded exactly like Sarah, and it broke his heart and healed it at the same time. "Your mom was smart," he said quietly, "and so are you." Wednesday morning, Jonas arrived at the office to find a sticky note on his computer monitor. "Coffee at 8, CH." He went to Clara's office at 8 sharp. She had 2 cups waiting and looked tired, like she hadn't slept. "You okay?" Jonas asked. "Couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about the Castellano deal, about what happens next." She handed him coffee. "I wanted to talk to you about something." "What's that?" "I've been thinking about the department, about how we operate." She pulled up a document on her computer. "I've been looking at employee satisfaction surveys from the past 3 years. Jonas, they're terrible. People are miserable. Turnover is high. And it's my fault." Jonas sipped his coffee, staying quiet. "I need to change things," Clara continued. "Not just with you, with everyone. But I don't know how. I've spent 5 years being the way I've been. I don't know how to undo that. You start by asking what people need. That simple? That simple." Jonas set his cup down. People don't need pizza parties or motivational posters. They need to feel heard, valued. They need to know their work matters and their lives outside work matter too. Clara stared at him. "How do you know this?" "Because that's all I ever wanted. And I never got it until Monday." Something shifted in Clara's expression. "Will you help me? Not just with the work, but with this, with learning how to be a better leader." "That's not really my job description." "I'm making it your job description." She smiled slightly. "Consider it part of being senior operations manager. You manage operations and you manage me when I'm about to do something terrible." Jonas laughed despite himself. "That's a tall order." "I know, but I think you're up for it." They spent the next week transforming the department. Clara called a staff meeting and apologized, actually apologized for the culture she'd created. People were skeptical at first, shifting in their seats, exchanging glances, but she kept going. "I know I haven't been approachable. I know I've prioritized results over people. That changes now. Jonas Vale is my senior operations manager, and he'll be implementing new policies, flexible schedules, remote work options, mandatory vacation time that actually gets used." She paused. "And my door is open. I mean that. If you have concerns, I want to hear them." After the meeting, Jennifer from HR pulled Jonas aside. "Is this for real? Or is this some kind of corporate PR stunt?" "It's real," Jonas said. "She means it." "We'll see." Jennifer's expression was doubtful. "People don't change that fast." "Maybe not fast," Jonas agreed. "But they can change." By Friday, the legal team confirmed the Castellano contract. $6 million over 3 years. The biggest deal the department had ever closed. The executive team wanted to celebrate. Big dinner, fancy restaurant, champagne. Clara said yes, but pulled Jonas aside first. I need a favor. What's that? Come to dinner. Bring Ariana. I want to meet her properly. Jonas hesitated. You don't have to do that. I want to. Clara's voice was firm. You've talked about her all week. How smart she is, how kind. I'd like to meet the person who makes you smile like that. That evening, Jonas picked up Ariana and drove to Clara's penthouse. He'd told his daughter they were visiting a friend from work, but Ariana saw through it immediately. Is this the lady you helped? Yes. Is she still sad? Jonas pulled into the parking garage. She's getting better, but she's trying hard. Okay, so be nice. I'm always nice, Daddy. Clara answered the door in jeans and a sweater. Jonas had never seen her in anything but business suits. She looked younger, more human. You must be Ariana. Clara knelt down to eye level. I'm Clara. Ariana studied her seriously. You're the dragon lady. Jonas's face went hot. Ariana. But Clara laughed. Actually laughed. You know what? You're absolutely right. I was a dragon lady. But I'm trying not to breathe fire anymore. Ariana considered this. That's good. Fire is scary. It is scary. I'm sorry I scared your dad. He's not scared of anything. Clara looked up at Jonas, something soft in her expression. No, I don't think he is. The penthouse was different. There were photos now Clara's mother in various poses smiling living. The white furniture was the same, but there were throws on the couch books on the coffee table, a plant by the window. You redecorated, Jonas said. I'm trying to make it feel like home. Clara gestured to the dining table. I ordered pizza. I wasn't sure what Ariana liked, so I got 3 kinds. I like pepperoni. Ariana climbed into a chair. And cheese. And sometimes I like vegetables, but not tonight. They ate pizza and talked. Ariana told Clara about school, about Tommy, who said she had pretty hair, about her favorite book, where a mouse goes on an adventure. Clara listened like Ariana was the most interesting person in the world. Your dad told me you're good at art, Clara said. I'm okay. Daddy says I'm great, but daddies have to say that. Not true. I bet you're really talented. Clara stood up. Wait here. She disappeared into her bedroom and came back with a box. Inside were art supplies, colored pencils, markers, sketch pads, watercolors. Professional quality, expensive. These were my mother's, Clara said quietly. She was an artist. I've been keeping them in a closet for 5 years. But I think she'd want someone to use them. Someone who appreciates them. Ariana's eyes went wide. Really? Really? Clara pushed the box across the table. On one condition. You have to show me what you make. I promise. Ariana threw her arms around Clara's waist, squeezing tight. Clara froze for a moment, then slowly, carefully hugged her back. Over Ariana's head, her eyes met Jonas's. There were tears there. Later, after Ariana fell asleep on Clara's couch, clutching her new art supplies, Jonas and Clara sat on the balcony. The city stretched out below them, lights flickering like stars. Thank you for tonight, Clara said. I haven't had people in this apartment in 5 years. I forgot what it felt like. She really liked you. She's wonderful. You're raising an incredible kid. Jonas looked down at his hands. Some days I feel like I'm barely holding it together. Like I'm one crisis away from everything falling apart. But you haven't fallen apart. You keep showing up. Keep being present. That's not barely holding together, Jonas. That's strength. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Clara spoke again, softer. I need to tell you something. About Friday night. About why I was at that bar. You don't have to. I want to. She took a breath. My mother died 5 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 6 weeks from diagnosis to gone. And in those 6 weeks I watched the strongest woman I knew become small, fragile. At the end, she weighed 90 pounds. I held her hand and felt bones. Clara's voice cracked, but she kept going. The last thing she said was, "Don't let this make you hard." She made me promise, but I broke that promise the day after her funeral. I decided feeling nothing was easier than feeling everything. So I built walls, got cold, got mean, convinced myself that being strong meant being alone. "You weren't alone Friday night," Jonas said quietly. "You called for help." "Because I was drowning. The anniversary comes every year, and every year I drink until I can't remember why I'm sad. But this year was different. This year I texted you." She turned to look at him. "Why do you think I did that?" "I don't know. Because somewhere in my messed up head, I knew you were safe. Knew you'd come, even though I didn't deserve it. Knew you'd help without asking for anything back." She wiped her eyes. "And you did. You saved my reputation, my deal, maybe my job, and you asked for nothing. That's because you don't trade favors for decency. I know that now." Clara smiled through tears. "You taught me that." Jonas shifted in his chair. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why did you really promote me? Was it guilt?" Clara was quiet for a long moment. "Partially, but mostly because I looked at 3 years of your work and realized you'd been managing the department better than I had while I took credit. You deserved that promotion 2 years ago. I was just too blind to see it. And now? Now I see it." She looked at him directly. "Now I see you." Something passed between them. Not romance, not yet, but recognition. Two people who'd been invisible to themselves finding reflection in each other. Inside, Ariana stirred on the couch. Jonas stood. "I should get her home." "Wait." Clara disappeared into the apartment again. When she came back, she held a book. "This was my mother's favorite. She read it to me when I was Ariana's age. I thought maybe Ariana might like it." Jonas took the book carefully. The cover was worn pages soft with age. "The Secret Garden." It's about a girl who brings a dead garden back to life. About things growing again after they've been lost. Clara's voice was thick. "I think I'm starting to understand what that means." "Thank you." Jonas meant it. "For tonight, for the art supplies, for this. Thank you for bringing life back into this place, for reminding me what home feels like." Jonas carried Ariana to the car while Clara walked them down. His daughter mumbled sleepily against his shoulder. "I like her, Daddy. She's not a dragon anymore." "No," Jonas agreed. "I don't think she is." Clara stood in the parking garage watching them drive away. The elevator ride back up felt different. The penthouse didn't feel empty anymore. She looked at her mother's photo on the mantel. "I'm trying, Mom. I'm really trying." The next morning, Saturday, Clara did something she hadn't done in 5 years. She went to the cemetery. Her mother's headstone was simple. "Eleanor Hawthorne, beloved mother, let love in." Clara knelt in the grass, not caring about her jeans getting dirty. "Hey, Mom, I know it's been a while. 5 years, actually. I couldn't come before, couldn't face you, couldn't admit I'd broken my promise." She took a shaky breath. "But I met someone. A man named Jonas. He has a daughter named Ariana, and they're teaching me how to be human again." The wind picked up rustling through trees. "I gave away your art supplies. To Ariana. I hope that's okay. I couldn't keep them locked up anymore. You always said art should be shared, should be alive." Clara wiped her eyes. "I'm going to try, Mom. I'm going to try to be the person you raised me to be. Even if it's scary. Even if it's hard." She stayed for an hour talking to her mother, crying, laughing at memories. When she finally stood to leave, she felt lighter. On the drive home, her phone rang. "Jonas." "Hey," she answered. "Everything okay?" "More than okay. Ariana woke up this morning and painted for 3 hours straight. She wants me to thank you again for the supplies." Clara smiled. Tell her she's welcome. And Jonas, thank you. For what? For answering the phone that night. For not leaving me in that bar. For showing me there's still good in the world. Silence. Then, you would have done the same for me. No, Clara said honestly. A week ago I wouldn't have, but I'm learning. You're teaching me. We're teaching each other. Monday morning, Clara walked into the office with purpose. She called a meeting with HR and the executive team. I'm restructuring the department, she announced. Flexible schedules for everyone. Mental health days. Parental leave that actually protects parents. And a mentorship program where senior staff work with junior staff instead of just delegating. The CEO, Harold Warren, frowned. That's expensive. What's the ROI? Happy employees are productive employees, Clara said firmly. We've had 30% turnover in 3 years. Do you know what that costs? Training recruitment, lost productivity. This is an investment. And if it doesn't work, then I take full responsibility. But I believe it will work. I've seen what happens when we treat people like people instead of resources. Harold looked at Jonas, who stood beside Clara. This your influence, Vale? Partially, Jonas admitted. But Ms. Hawthorne is right. We can do better. We should do better. Harold was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Fine. 3-month trial. But I want metrics. Satisfaction scores, productivity, retention. If this tanks, it's on both of you. Deal, Clara said. Outside the conference room, Jonas exhaled. That was intense. That was necessary. Clara turned to him. We're going to change things, Jonas. Make this a place where people actually want to work. I believe you. Over the next month, the transformation was real. People came in smiling, stayed because they wanted to, not because they had to. The department that had been dying started coming back to life. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Clara and Jonas kept meeting for coffee, kept talking late in the office, kept learning how to be whole again. Neither of them called it friendship yet, but that's exactly what it was becoming. 2 months after that night at Meridian, Clara showed up at Jonas's apartment on a Saturday morning with soup and children's books. Jonas opened the door in sweatpants and a faded college t-shirt, hair still messy from sleep. Clara, what are you doing here? Ariana texted me last night, said you were sick. Jonas blinked. She has your number. I gave it to her 3 weeks ago, told her to call if she ever needed anything. Clara held up the bag. She said you had a fever and wouldn't eat. So I brought soup. And books because she mentioned you've been reading to her every night, but you're too tired to do voices. You didn't have to do this. I know. I wanted to. Clara pushed past him into the apartment. Where's Ariana? Still asleep. Clara, seriously, you don't have to. Go lie down, Jonas. You look terrible. He did look terrible. His head was pounding, throat raw, body aching. He'd been up half the night trying to keep his fever down, because Ariana had a field trip on Monday, and he couldn't afford to miss work, and who would take care of her if he got worse? Clara was already in the kitchen unpacking containers. Homemade chicken soup, fresh bread, orange juice, medicine. She moved through his small space like she'd been there 100 times. Sit, she ordered, pointing to the couch. Jonas sat, watched her pour soup into a bowl, heat it in the microwave, bring it to him with a spoon and napkin, like he was the child. Eat. Bossy. You have no idea. But she smiled when she said it. Jonas ate the soup. It was good, really good, and he realized he hadn't had a home-cooked meal that someone else made in years. Did you make this? My mother's recipe. She used to make it when I was sick. Clara sat in the chair across from him. I called it magic soup because I always felt better after. It's working already. They sat in comfortable silence while Jonas ate. Then Ariana's door opened and she padded out in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. She saw Clara and lit up. You came. I promised I would. Clara opened her arms and Ariana ran into them. How's my favorite artist? Good. I finished the painting I told you about. Wanna see? Absolutely. Ariana dragged Clara to her room while Jonas sat on the couch feeling strange. His boss was in his apartment. His daughter was showing her paintings. And it felt normal, natural, like Clara belonged here. When did that happen? Clara came back 20 minutes later with Ariana chattering beside her. Your daughter is incredibly talented. That landscape she did, I'd hang that in my office. She gets it from her mother. Jonas set down his empty bowl. Sarah was an artist too. Not professional, but she loved to paint. Ariana climbed onto the couch beside Jonas. Mommy painted sunflowers. I remember. Big yellow ones. She did. Jonas pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. She painted them on your nursery wall. Clara's expression softened. I'd like to hear about her sometime, if you want to share. Maybe? Jonas wasn't ready yet. But the fact that Clara asked that she cared enough to want to know meant something. Clara stayed for 3 hours. She read to Ariana while Jonas napped, made grilled cheese for lunch, did dishes that had been piling up. When Jonas protested, she shut him down. You took care of me when I was a mess. Let me return the favor. That was different. How? You were drunk and in trouble. I'm just sick. Clara looked at him seriously. You're exhausted, Jonas. You work all week, take care of Ariana alone, never ask for help. Let someone help you for once. I'm not good at that. Neither am I. So we'll both get better at it. By the time Clara left, Jonas's fever had broken, and Ariana was fed and happy. Clara paused at the door. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. Thank you. For today. For all of this. That's what friends do. She said it simply, like it was obvious. Like they'd crossed that bridge without either of them noticing. Friends. Jonas turned the word over in his mind after she left. When had Clara Hawthorne become his friend Monday morning, Jonas was back at work. Still tired but functional. He found a note on his desk. Feeling better? Coffee at noon if you're up for it. C. They met in her office. Clara had ordered lunch from the deli. Jonas liked the one that was too expensive for him to go to regularly. You remembered, he said, looking at the sandwich. I pay attention now. She handed him coffee. How are you feeling? Better, thanks to you. Ariana's a good nurse. She made you take medicine every 4 hours like I told her to. Jonas laughed. She's bossy like someone else I know. Wonder where she gets that. They ate lunch and talked about work, about the department's progress, about the satisfaction scores that were climbing. Then Clara's expression shifted, became more serious. I want to tell you something. About the night you found me at the bar. Okay? I almost didn't text you. I sat there for 2 hours trying to decide who to call. I scrolled through my contacts and realized I didn't have anyone. No friends, no family. Just colleagues and business contacts. She set down her coffee. You were the only person I could think of who might actually come. And I didn't even know if you would. Why me? Because despite how I treated you, you were always kind. Always decent. I saw you helping junior staff, mentoring new hires, staying late to fix other people's mistakes. And I thought maybe, just maybe, you'd extend that kindness to me, even though I didn't deserve it. Jonas was quiet for a moment. You were right. I know. And that changed everything. Clara looked out the window. I've been thinking about what you said that night. About someone having to stop the cycle. About choosing to be decent even when it's not earned. What about it? I want to do that too, not just at work, but everywhere. I want to be the person my mother raised me to be, the person she saw before she died. Clara turned back to him. Will you help me? Help you how? Be honest with me. Tell me when I'm slipping back into old patterns. When I'm being cold or dismissive or putting walls back up. She paused. I trust you, Jonas. More than I've trusted anyone in 5 years. And I need someone who will be real with me. That's asking a lot. I know, but I'm asking anyway. Jonas thought about the woman who'd yelled at him in that supply closet. The woman who'd called his work adequate. The woman who'd made him cry and then pretended not to notice. Then he thought about the woman who'd brought soup when he was sick, who'd listened to his daughter talk about paintings for an hour, who was trying so hard to be better. "Okay," he said. "But it goes both ways. You call me out too. When I'm settling. When I'm playing it safe because I'm scared." "Deal." Clara extended her hand. "Deal." They shook on it, and Jonas felt something shift. They weren't just colleagues anymore. Weren't just boss and employee. They were friends choosing to help each other become better versions of themselves. The next few weeks were transformative. Clara implemented every policy she'd promised. Flexible schedules went live. Mental health days became standard. The mentorship program launched with Jonas heading it up. People were skeptical at first. Jennifer from HR pulled Jonas aside. "Is this permanent, or is she going to change her mind?" "It's permanent," Jonas assured her. "She's committed." "I'll believe it when I see it." But slowly, people started to believe. Clara showed up to team meetings and actually listened, asked questions, admitted when she didn't have answers. The Ice Queen reputation started to thaw. One afternoon, Marcus from accounting stopped by Jonas's office. "Hey, I wanted to apologize." "For what?" "I said you'd last 2 weeks with Hawthorne. Told everyone she'd chew you up and spit you out." Marcus looked embarrassed. "But you changed her. Or she changed. I don't know which. But the department's different now. Better. So thank you." "I didn't do anything special." "Yeah, you did. You treated her like a human being. And she remembered how to be one." After Marcus left, Jonas sat at his desk thinking about that. He hadn't set out to change Clara. He'd just chosen kindness when cruelty would have been easier. And somehow, that had been enough. That Friday, Clara invited Jonas and Ariana to dinner at her place again. This time, she cooked a tempting spaghetti with mixed results. "It's a little burnt," Ariana said diplomatically, pushing noodles around her plate. "It's very burnt," Clara admitted. "I'm not a good cook." "That's okay. Daddy burns stuff too sometimes." Jonas laughed. "Thanks for that, baby girl." "It's true. Remember when you caught the grilled cheese on fire?" "Once. I did that once." Clara was laughing too, and Jonas realized this was the first time he'd seen her truly relaxed. No perfect makeup, no tight bun, no armor. Just Clara in jeans and an old sweater with her hair down, laughing at burnt spaghetti. After dinner, Ariana fell asleep on the couch again while Jonas and Clara cleaned up. They moved around the kitchen together, easily finding a rhythm. "I like having you both here," Clara said quietly. "This place felt like a mausoleum for 5 years. Now it feels alive." "You just needed people in it." "I needed the right people." She dried a dish, set it in the cabinet. "Jonas, can I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Do you ever think about dating, about having someone?" The question caught him off guard. "Sometimes, but it's complicated. I have Ariana to think about, and I don't have time to meet people. Between work and being a dad." He shrugged. "I figured I'd think about it when she's older." "That's a long time to be alone." "I'm not alone. I have her." "You know what I mean." Jonas set down the plate he was washing. "What about you? You ever think about it?" Clara was quiet for a long moment. "I told myself I didn't need anyone, that needing people made you weak. But lately I've been wondering if maybe I was wrong, if maybe pushing everyone away was the weak choice. It takes strength to let people in." "Does it? Because it feels terrifying." "That's how you know it matters." Jonas turned to look at her. "The things that scare us most are usually the things worth doing." Clara met his eyes. Something passed between them, something neither of them was ready to name yet. Then she looked away, back to the dishes. "You're very wise, Jonas Vale." "I just pay attention to what life teaches me." They finished cleaning in comfortable silence. When Jonas carried Ariana to the car, Clara walked them down again. It was becoming their routine. "Thank you for tonight," Jonas said. "Even the burnt spaghetti. I'll do better next time. Maybe order takeout." "That sounds perfect." Clara hesitated, then stepped forward and hugged him. Quick and awkward, but genuine. "Thank you for being patient with me, for not giving up." Jonas hugged her back. "Thank you for trying, for choosing to be better." When he pulled away, her eyes were shining. "See you Monday." Monday, Jonas confirmed. The following week, Jonas was working late when his phone rang. Mrs. Patterson frantic. "Jonas, I'm so sorry. My daughter went into labor. I have to go to the hospital. I can't watch Ariana tonight." Jonas's stomach dropped. He had a presentation in the morning, still had 3 hours of work left, and no backup childcare. "It's okay, Mrs. Patterson. Go be with your daughter. I'll figure it out." He called every number he had. No one was available. Finally, he called Clara. "Bring her here," Clara said immediately. "I'll watch her." "Clara, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Bring her now." Jonas picked up Ariana from Mrs. Patterson's, explained the situation, and drove to Clara's penthouse. Ariana was half asleep when they arrived. "Hey, sweetheart," Clara said softly. "You can sleep in my guest room tonight. Your dad has to work." "You're staying with me?" Ariana asked. "If that's okay." "That's okay." Ariana yawned. "Will you read me a story?" "Absolutely." Jonas watched Clara settle Ariana into the guest room, tucking her in like she'd done it 1,000 times. She read The Secret Garden in different voices, making Ariana giggle. When his daughter finally fell asleep, Clara came back to the living room. "She's out. You can go finish your work." "Clara, I don't know how to thank you." "Stop thanking me. This is what we do. We help each other." She squeezed his arm. "Go. I've got her." Jonas went back to the office and finished his presentation. The whole time his phone buzzed with pictures. Clara and Ariana painting. Clara braiding Ariana's hair badly, both of them laughing. Ariana asleep with Clara's cat curled up beside her. Wait, Clara had a cat. He got back to her place at midnight. Clara was still awake, reading on the couch. "She was perfect," Clara said. "We painted, watched a movie, she told me about school. Jonas, she's incredible." "Thank you for doing this. Stop thanking me." But Clara smiled. "I love tonight. She makes me remember what it's like to see the world as magic instead of just business." Jonas sat down beside her. They were closer than colleagues usually sat, close enough that he could smell her shampoo. "You're good with her," he said. "Natural. I always wanted kids. Before everything happened. Before I decided I was better off alone. It's not too late." Clara looked at him. Really looked at him. "Isn't it?" "No. You're what, 38, 39. Old enough to know better. Old enough to know what matters." They sat there in the quiet, and Jonas felt something shifting again. Something bigger than friendship. Something that scared him and excited him at the same time. Clara felt it too. He could see it in the way she looked at him, the way her breath caught slightly. "Jonas." "I should go." He stood up quickly. "Let me get Ariana." "Leave her. She's asleep. You can pick her up in the morning." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Clara stood too. "Jonas, wait." He turned back. "I need to tell you something. And I need you to just listen." "Okay." Clara took a breath. "These past 2 months have been the best I've had in 5 years. Coming to work doesn't feel like punishment anymore. Coming home doesn't feel like dying. And it's because of you. Because you showed me I could still be human." "Clara, let me finish. I know this is complicated. I know I'm your boss, and there are rules and power dynamics and a million reasons this is a bad idea. But I need you to know that somewhere along the way, You became the most important person in my life, and that terrifies me." Jonas's heart was hammering. "It terrifies me too." "Because you feel it too." "Yes." The admission came out rough. "But Clara, I have Ariana to think about. I can't just—" "I know. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know that you matter, that this matters." She stepped back, putting distance between them. "Go home. Get some sleep. We'll figure out what this means later." Jonas left in a daze, drove home on autopilot, lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Clara Hawthorne had feelings for him, his boss, his friend. The woman who'd been his worst nightmare 3 months ago had just told him she cared about him. And the scariest part, he cared about her too. He'd been falling for her slowly in the spaces between coffee meetings and late-night conversations. In the way she laughed at Ariana's jokes. In the way she tried so hard to be better. But what did that mean? Where could this possibly go? Jonas didn't sleep that night. Just thought about Clara. About Ariana. About the life he'd built so carefully. And how one person had walked into it and changed everything. The next morning he picked up Ariana at 7. Clara had made pancakes badly, but Ariana ate them anyway. "Did you and Miss Clara have a good night?" Jonas asked as they drove home. "The best. She showed me pictures of her mom. She was really pretty, and she told me about when she was little and used to paint with her mom in the garden." Ariana paused. "Daddy, I think Miss Clara is sad sometimes. Like you get sad when you think I'm not looking." Jonas's hands tightened on the wheel. "What makes you say that?" "Her eyes. They're sad even when she's smiling. But she's less sad now than before. You make her less sad." "Baby, that's not—" "It's okay, Daddy. You're allowed to have friends. You're allowed to be happy too." Out of the mouths of babes. At work on Monday, Jonas and Clara were professional. Polite. Careful not to stand too close or let their eyes meet too long. But the tension was there humming between them. After the weekly staff meeting, Clara pulled him aside. "We need to talk. Really talk. Not at work." "When?" "Tonight. My place. After Ariana's asleep." Jonas nodded throat tight. That night, he put Ariana to bed early, kissed her forehead, and drove to Clara's. His hands were shaking when he knocked. She opened the door in yoga pants and a sweater. No makeup, hair down, vulnerable. "Hey." "Hey." They sat on the couch, a careful foot between them. Clara spoke first. "I've been thinking about what I said Friday, and I need you to know I meant it. But I also need you to know I don't expect anything. Your friendship is enough. More than enough." "What if I want more than friendship?" Her eyes snapped to his. "What? What if I told you that I think about you when I'm supposed to be working? That Ariana asks about you every day? That I can't remember what my life was like before you were in it?" Jonas took a shaky breath. "What if I told you I'm falling for you and it scares the hell out of me?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. "Then I'd say I'm already there, that I fell weeks ago and I've been trying to pretend I haven't. This is crazy. I know. You're my boss. I know. I have a daughter. I love your daughter. If this goes wrong, then we'll handle it. Together." Clara reached for his hand. "Jonas, I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying there aren't complications. But I'm saying I'm willing to try if you are. Because doing nothing, pretending this isn't happening, that's the coward's choice. And I'm done being a coward." Jonas looked at their joined hands. Thought about Ariana, about his job, about all the ways this could explode. Then he thought about Clara reading to his daughter, about her showing up with soup, about the way she laughed now, free and real, about the woman she was becoming. "Okay," he said. "Let's try." Clara smiled through her tears. Yeah, but we do this right. We take it slow. We protect Ariana, and if at any point this gets too complicated, We'll figure it out. Clara squeezed his hand. Together. Jonas pulled her close and she came willingly, tucking herself against his chest. They sat there holding each other while the city lights flickered outside. I can't believe this is happening, Clara whispered. Me neither. Are you happy or terrified? Both. Jonas kissed the top of her head. Definitely both. They stayed like that for a long time, two people who'd saved each other learning how to let themselves be saved. They kept it quiet for 3 weeks. At work, they were professional. Jonas called her Ms. Hawthorne in meetings. Clara treated him like any other senior manager. But after hours, when Ariana was asleep, Jonas would drive to Clara's penthouse and they'd talk until midnight. About everything, about nothing. Learning each other in the quiet spaces between their public lives. Clara told him about her childhood, about growing up with a single mother who worked 2 jobs, but still found time to paint in the garden. About art school dreams she'd abandoned for business school because it was practical. About the guilt she carried for choosing money over passion. Jonas told her about Sarah. About meeting her in college, about the addiction he didn't see until it was too late. About holding Ariana for the first time and promising he'd be enough for both of them. About the nights he still woke up terrified he was failing. You're not failing, Clara said one night, her head on his shoulder. Ariana is kind and confident and creative. That's all you. She asks about you constantly, wants to know when we can visit again. I want that too. Clara lifted her head to look at him. But Jonas, we need to tell her. About us. She's smart. She'll figure it out if she hasn't already. I know. I'm just scared. Of what? Of her getting attached and then this not working out. Of her losing another person. Jonas's voice cracked. She's lost so much already. Clara took his face in her hands. I'm not going anywhere. I promise you that. This isn't casual for me. You and Ariana, you're it. You're everything. How can you be sure? Because I wake up thinking about you both. Because when Ariana shows me her paintings, my heart feels like it might burst. Because for the first time in 5 years, I can imagine a future that doesn't feel empty. She kissed him softly. I'm sure, Jonas. Are you? He pulled her closer. I'm terrified, but I'm sure. They told Ariana the following Saturday. Jonas made pancakes while Clara set the table, and the 3 of them sat together in Jonas's small kitchen with sunshine streaming through the window. Baby Clara and I need to talk to you about something, Jonas started. Ariana looked up from her syrup-drenched pancakes. Are you getting married? Jonas choked on his coffee. What? Tommy's dad got a girlfriend, and then they got married, and now Tommy has a stepmom. Is Miss Clara gonna be my stepmom? Clara's eyes were wide, but she recovered faster than Jonas. We're not getting married right now, sweetheart. But your dad and I do care about each other, a lot. And we wanted you to know that we're spending time together, as more than friends. Like boyfriend and girlfriend. Yes, Jonas said. Like that. And we wanted to make sure you're okay with it. Ariana thought about this seriously, chewing her pancake. Then she looked at Clara. Do you love my dad? Clara didn't hesitate. I do, very much. And do you love me? Absolutely. You're one of my favorite people in the whole world. Okay then. Ariana went back to her pancakes. I think it's good. Daddy's been happier since you came around. He smiles more. And you're not sad in your eyes anymore. Jonas and Clara exchanged glances. Out of the mouths of babes again. So you're really okay with this? Jonas pressed. Daddy, I told you, you're allowed to be happy, and Miss Clara makes you happy. That's good. She paused. But can I ask something? Anything, Clara said. If you're Daddy's girlfriend, can I call you Clara instead of Miss Clara? It sounds more like family. Clara's eyes filled with tears. She reached across the table and took Ariana's sticky hand. I would love that. Cool. Can we go to the park now? Just like that, it was settled. They went to the park, the three of them, and Jonas watched Clara push Ariana on the swings. Watched them laugh together. Watched his daughter reach for Clara's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. And something in his chest that had been tight for years finally loosened. At work, they decided to keep things professional until they figured out how to handle the optics. Clara was still technically Jonas's boss, even though he reported to her, and neither of them wanted office gossip to undermine the credibility they'd built. But people noticed anyway. Jennifer from HR cornered Jonas in the break room. "So, you and Hawthorne. What about us? Don't play dumb. Everyone's seen how she looks at you, how you look at her. And last week she left the office at 5 p.m. for the first time in recorded history." Jennifer crossed her arms. Spill. Jonas sighed. "It's new. We're taking it slow, and we're trying to keep it professional at work." "Does Harold know?" "Not yet, but we'll tell him when the time is right." Jennifer's expression softened. "For what it's worth, I think it's good. You're good for her. She's human now, almost likable." "She was always human. She just forgot for a while." "And you reminded her." Jennifer patted his arm. "Just be careful. Office relationships are complicated, especially when there's a power dynamic." "I know. We're being careful." But careful wasn't enough to stop the whispers. By the end of the week, half the office knew Jonas and Clara were together. Most people were supportive, happy even. But a few were less kind. Marcus from accounting made a snide comment about Jonas sleeping his way to the top. Clara overheard, and her face went ice cold. "My office, now." Marcus followed, looking nervous. Jonas watched from his desk as Clara closed the door. Her voice was muffled, but the tone was clear. When Marcus emerged 15 minutes later, he was pale. "What did she say?" Jonas asked. "That if I ever questioned your qualifications again, I'd be looking for a new job. That you earned your position through merit, and anyone who suggests otherwise can take it up with HR." Marcus swallowed hard. "She's scary when she's protective." Jonas felt something warm spread through his chest. Clara was defending him, fighting for him, choosing him publicly, even though it could have been easier to stay quiet. That night, Jonas showed up at her place with flowers. She opened the door and smiled. "What are these for?" "For standing up for me today. For not caring what people think. For being brave." Clara took the flowers, set them aside, and pulled him into a kiss. "You make it easy to be brave." They curled up on her couch, and Clara told him about the meeting with Marcus. "I won't let anyone diminish what you've accomplished. You worked your ass off for that promotion. You deserve respect." "I know, but thank you for saying it. I'll keep saying it until everyone believes it." She tucked herself against him. "Jonas, I've been thinking. About us. About making this official." "Official how?" "I want to tell Harold. File the proper paperwork with HR. Do this right so no one can question it." "You're sure?" "I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending we're just colleagues when you're so much more than that." She looked up at him. "I want the world to know you're mine." Jonas kissed her forehead. "Okay, let's tell Harold." They requested a meeting for Monday morning. Jonas barely slept Sunday night running through scenarios. What if Harold said one of them had to transfer? What if Clara lost her position because of him? But when they sat across from Harold's desk Monday morning, the CEO just looked tired. "I already know," he said flatly. "You do?" Clara asked. "The whole office knows. You think I don't hear the gossip?" Harold leaned back in his chair. "Here's what I care about. Are you two serious, or is this a fling?" "We're serious," Jonas said firmly. "Good, because if this was casual, I'd have concerns. But if it's serious, then we can work with it." Harold looked at Clara. "You're going to need to recuse yourself from any decisions about Jonas's compensation or promotion. We'll have him report to me directly for reviews." "That's fair," Clara agreed. "And if this goes south, you both need to be professional enough to keep working together. I'm not restructuring my entire department because you two can't handle a breakup. It won't come to that, Clara said, but understood. Harold's expression softened slightly. For what it's worth, you both seem happy. Happier than I've seen either of you, so don't screw it up. We won't, Jonas promised. They left Harold's office holding hands, and the relief was palpable. It was official, public, real. The next few months were the happiest Jonas could remember. Clara started spending weekends at his apartment, cooking terrible dinners that made Ariana giggle. She came to Ariana's school play and cried when his daughter sang. She helped with homework and braided hair and slowly, carefully became part of their family. Jonas watched it happen with awe. This woman who'd been ice for 5 years was melting completely around his daughter, reading bedtime stories, making silly voices, getting down on the floor to paint and color and play. One Sunday morning, Jonas woke up to laughter from the kitchen. He found Clara and Ariana making pancakes, both covered in flour. What happened here? We had a small explosion, Clara admitted, flour in her hair. But we're handling it. Daddy. Clara taught me how to flip pancakes. Look. Ariana demonstrated, nearly dropping the pancake. Clara caught it with the spatula, and they both dissolved into giggles. Jonas leaned against the doorway watching them and felt his eyes burn. This was his family now. His daughter and the woman he was falling more in love with every day. That night after Ariana was asleep, Clara and Jonas sat on his tiny balcony watching the city lights. I never thought I could have this, Clara said quietly. A family, people who love me, a place that feels like home. You have it now. I know, and it terrifies me how much I need it. How much I need you both. She turned to look at him. Jonas, I'm in love with you. Completely. Terrifyingly. I love you. Jonas pulled her close. I love you too. Have for weeks. Was just waiting for the right moment to say it. And is this the right moment? Every moment with you is the right moment. They kissed under the stars while the city hummed below them. Two people who'd saved each other, learning what it meant to be saved. Inside, Ariana stirred in her sleep, smiling at dreams of pancakes and laughter, and the woman who was slowly becoming her mother in all the ways that mattered. The following month, Jonas got a call from a publisher. The children's book he'd been writing for Ariana, the one he'd worked on for 3 years in stolen moments, had been accepted. He stood in his office, staring at the email, unable to process it. Clara found him there 10 minutes later. Jonas, what's wrong? They want to publish it, my book. The one about the little girl and her dad finding home after loss. His voice cracked. They actually want to publish it. Clara threw her arms around him. Oh my God. Jonas, that's incredible. I can't believe it. I've been trying for years and... You did it. You really did it. She pulled back, eyes shining. When do we celebrate? We. Of course we. You think I'm missing this? Clara was already pulling out her phone. I'm making reservations somewhere fancy. We're bringing Ariana. This is huge. They celebrated that weekend at a restaurant with white tablecloths and a menu Jonas couldn't pronounce. Ariana wore her favorite dress, and Clara wore heels, and Jonas felt like the luckiest man alive. I'm so proud of you, Daddy, Ariana said, clutching her sparkling cider. Your book is going to help kids like me, kids who miss their mommies. Jonas's throat closed up. Clara reached under the table and squeezed his hand. It's going to help a lot of people, Clara said softly. Because your dad understands what it's like to hurt and heal at the same time. After dinner, they walked through the park. Ariana ran ahead chasing fireflies, while Jonas and Clara followed hand in hand. I've been thinking, Clara said. About the future. About us? Yeah. My lease is up in 3 months, And I've been wondering if maybe it's time to find some place that feels more like home, someplace with room for a family. Jonas stopped walking. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to look for a house. With you. A place where Ariana can have a real yard, where we can have space for all of us. She turned to face him. I know it's fast. I know we've only been official for a few months. But Jonas, I don't want to waste time. I want to build a life with you, with Ariana. I want to be all in. Jonas felt like his heart might burst. You want to move in together. I want more than that eventually. But let's start there. Clara smiled nervously. What do you think? I think Ariana's going to lose her mind with excitement. Is that a yes? Jonas pulled her close and kissed her hard. That's a hell yes. They told Ariana on the drive home. She screamed so loud, Jonas nearly swerved. We're getting a house, all of us together. All of us together, Clara confirmed. With a yard and maybe a dog if your dad agrees. Can we, Daddy? Can we get a dog? Jonas looked at Clara, who was grinning. We'll see. That means yes. Ariana bounced in her seat. This is the best day ever. They spent the next month house hunting, looking at places with yards and good school districts and enough room for all of them. Clara insisted on a home office for Jonas so he could write. Jonas insisted on a studio space for Clara so she could paint again. I haven't painted in 15 years, Clara protested. Then it's time to start again. Your mom would want that. They found the perfect house in a quiet neighborhood with tree-lined streets. 3 bedrooms, a big kitchen, a yard with an old oak tree perfect for a swing. The moment they walked in, Ariana ran through the rooms shouting, This is my room. This is Daddy's office. This is Clara's art room. Jonas looked at Clara. This is it. This is it, she agreed. They made an offer that night. It was accepted within a week. Moving day was chaos. Jonas's apartment barely filled one room of the new house. Clara's sterile penthouse furniture looked wrong in the warm lived-in space. But they figured it out together, filling rooms with laughter and compromise and love. That first night in the new house, they ordered pizza and sat on the floor eating from the box because they couldn't find plates. Ariana fell asleep between them, exhausted from unpacking. Jonas looked around at the mess of boxes and furniture and felt complete. We did it, he whispered. Clara leaned her head on his shoulder. We really did. Are you happy? Happier than I've ever been. Happier than I thought possible. She kissed his temple. Thank you for answering your phone that night, for not leaving me in that bar, for showing me I could still have this. Thank you for calling, for being brave enough to ask for help, for choosing to change. They sat there in the quiet, their daughter sleeping between them, their whole future stretching out in this house that was finally truly home. Work continued to go well. The department thrived under their combined leadership. Satisfaction scores hit record highs. Turnover dropped to almost nothing. Harold was so impressed he gave them both bonuses and started talking about expanding their responsibilities. But more importantly, people were happy. The office felt different, lighter, like a place where humans worked instead of machines. Jennifer pulled Jonas aside one day. I was wrong about you two, about it being complicated. You make each other better. The whole department is better because of it. We're just trying to do right by people. Well, it's working. Keep it up. That Friday, Jonas left work at 5 to pick up Ariana from school. Clara met them at home an hour later with groceries. They cooked dinner together, the 3 of them moving around the kitchen in comfortable chaos. After Ariana was in bed, Jonas and Clara sat on the porch swing in their backyard watching the sunset. I've been thinking about something, Clara said. What's that? About making this permanent. About forever. Jonas's heart skipped. Clara. I know we said we'd take things slow. And we have. But Jonas, I don't need more time to know you're it for me. That Ariana is it for me. That this life we're building is everything I want. She slid off the swing and onto one knee. Jonas's breath caught. I don't have a ring yet. I wanted to do this right, shop together, pick something you'd actually want to wear. But I can't wait anymore. Clara's voice shook. Jonas Vale, you saved my life that night in the bar. Not just physically, but in every way that matters. You taught me how to be human again. How to love again. How to let myself be loved. And I want to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that gift. Will you marry me? Jonas was crying now, couldn't stop. Yes, God, yes. Clara stood, and he pulled her into his arms, holding her tight, while they both shook with tears and laughter. I love you, he said against her hair. I love you so much. I love you too, you and Ariana, my whole heart. They went inside and woke up Ariana to tell her. She was groggy and confused until she understood, then she started crying too. You're getting married for real. For real, Clara confirmed. If that's okay with you. Ariana threw her arms around Clara's neck. You're gonna be my real mom. Clara's voice broke. If you want me to be. I want you to be. I want you to be so bad. They held each other crying while Jonas watched his whole world come together. His daughter, his fiancé, his family. This was what healing looked like. What redemption looked like. Two broken people finding wholeness in each other and sharing it with a little girl who needed them both. Later, after Ariana finally went back to sleep, Jonas and Clara lay in bed talking about the future, about wedding plans and timelines, and whether to have more kids. I want to adopt Ariana, Clara said. Officially, if that's okay with you. I want her to be legally mine. She'd love that. I'd love that. And maybe we could think about having a baby. I know I'm almost 40, but if you want that, we'll make it happen. However it happens. Clara rolled over to face him. How did I get this lucky? We both got lucky. We found each other when we both needed saving. Do you think we would have found each other if I hadn't called that night? Jonas thought about it. I think we would have eventually. Maybe not the same way. But I think the universe wanted us to find each other, needed us to. I believe that too. They fell asleep, tangled together, dreaming of weddings, and forever. And the life they were building, one choice at a time. Outside, the oak tree swayed in the breeze. Inside, a family slept peacefully. And somewhere in the space between what was and what would be, two souls who'd been lost finally found their way home. The wedding was set for spring, 6 months after Clara's proposal. They decided on something small and intimate in the backyard of their new house, under the oak tree, where Ariana loved to play. But planning a wedding while raising a daughter and running a department turned out to be more complicated than either of them anticipated. Jonas was finishing edits on his book, while Clara was managing a major client expansion. Ariana had started asking questions about her biological mother that Jonas didn't know how to answer. One night in January, Jonas found Clara in the kitchen at 2 a.m., surrounded by wedding magazines and budget spreadsheets, crying quietly. Hey, what's wrong? She looked up, mascara streaked. I'm trying to plan this wedding and make it perfect, and I just realized I don't have anyone to invite. No family. No real friends besides people from work. It's just going to be your people and me standing there alone. Jonas sat down beside her. You have me. You have Ariana. That's not alone. I know, but everyone else will have their parents there, their siblings, their friends. And I'll have no one walking me down the aisle. No one giving toasts about what I was like as a kid. Nothing. Her voice broke. My mom should be here. She should see this. She should know I finally kept my promise. Jonas pulled her close. She knows. Wherever she is, she knows. How can you be sure? Because I talk to Sarah sometimes. Tell her about Ariana, about you, about how we're building this life. And I feel like she hears me, like she's happy for us. He kissed Clara's forehead. Your mom hears you too. She sees what you've become, and she's proud. Clara cried against his chest while he held her. After a while, she pulled back and wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. I don't usually fall apart like this. You're allowed to fall apart. That's what I'm here for. I just want everything to be perfect. For you. For Ariana. For us. It will be perfect because we'll be together. That's all that matters. Clara took a shaky breath. You're right. You're always right. Don't let that get around. I have a reputation to maintain. She laughed despite the tears. What would I do without you? Good thing you'll never have to find out. The next morning, Ariana came into the kitchen while Jonas was making breakfast. She climbed onto a stool and watched him flip pancakes. Daddy, can I ask you something? Always, baby girl. When Clara becomes my real mom, what do I call her? Jonas set down the spatula. This was the question he'd been dreading. What do you want to call her? I don't know. I called my first mommy, Mama. But I don't really remember her much anymore. Is that bad? No, sweetheart. That's not bad. You were really young when she died. It's okay if the memories fade. But I don't want to forget her completely. She was important. She was. And she'll always be your first mom. Nothing changes that. Jonas knelt down to Ariana's eye level. But Clara is going to be your mom too. However you want to define that. You can call her Mom or Clara or anything else you want. What matters is that she loves you and you love her. Ariana thought about this seriously. I think I want to call her Mom. Is that okay? Jonas's eyes burned. That's more than okay. That's perfect. But you should tell her yourself. That evening, Clara came home from work to find Ariana waiting by the door with a painting. She'd spent all afternoon on it, a family portrait with 3 figures holding hands under a tree. This is for you, Ariana said shyly. Clara took the painting, studying it carefully. This is beautiful. Is this us? Yeah, that's you and Daddy and me. We're a family now. We are. Clara knelt down. I love it. Can I hang it in my office? Sure, but I need to tell you something first. What's that? Ariana took a deep breath the way she did before saying something important. When you marry Daddy and adopt me, I want to call you Mom, if that's okay, because that's what you are. You're my mom now. Clara's face crumpled. She pulled Ariana into a tight hug, shoulders shaking. Oh, sweetheart, that's more than okay. That's the best thing anyone's ever said to me. So, I can call you Mom. You can call me anything you want, but Mom is perfect. Clara pulled back to look at Ariana. And you're perfect. Do you know that Daddy says that all the time? That's because it's true. Jonas watched from the doorway, not even trying to hide his tears. This was his family. This was everything he'd fought for. Everything he'd hoped for during those dark years when he thought he'd be alone forever. February brought Jonas's book release. They had a small launch party at a local bookstore, and Jonas was terrified no one would show up. But the store was packed. Colleagues from work, neighbors, parents from Ariana's school, even Harold came. Jonas read the dedication aloud, his voice shaking. For Ariana, who taught me that home isn't a place, it's the people who love you. And for Clara, who reminded me that it's never too late to start over. The audience applauded. Ariana sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Clara stood beside her, one hand on Ariana's shoulder, crying openly. After the reading, people lined up for signed copies. A woman with kind eyes approached Jonas. This book is going to help so many families. My daughter lost her father last year, and I've been struggling to help her process the grief. This is exactly what we needed. Jonas signed her book with shaking hands. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope this helps. It will. Thank you for being brave enough to write it. All evening, people shared similar stories. Single parents, grieving children, families rebuilt from broken pieces. Jonas hadn't realized how universal his story was until he saw it reflected in all these faces. Clara found him after the event emotionally exhausted. "You did something really important tonight. I just wrote about our life. You wrote about hope, about healing, about how broken things can be made whole again." She squeezed his hand. "I'm so proud of you." They drove home together, Ariana asleep in the back seat clutching a copy of the book. Jonas carried her inside and tucked her in, then found Clara standing in what would soon be her art studio. "I've been thinking," Clara said, "about what you said, about my mom wanting me to paint again. Yeah, I want to try. I'm scared I won't be any good anymore, but I want to try." Jonas wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You'll be amazing. And even if you're not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're doing something that brings you joy. Will you stay with me while I start?" "Always." Clara set up her easel and canvas. She stared at the blank white surface for a long time, brush hovering. Then she took a breath and made the first stroke. Blue. Sky blue, like her mother used to paint. Jonas watched her work, saw the tension leave her shoulders, saw her find a rhythm. She painted for 2 hours straight, and when she finally stepped back, there was a garden on the canvas. Not perfect, not polished, but alive. "It's a start," she said softly. "It's beautiful. My mom used to say gardens are about patience, about planting seeds and trusting they'll grow." Clara turned to look at Jonas. "I think we planted something good, you and me, and look how it's growing." Jonas kissed her temple. "Look how it's growing." March brought unexpected challenges. Harold called Clara and Jonas into his office looking grave. "We're restructuring," he said without preamble. "The board wants to consolidate departments, merge operations with finance." Clara's face went pale. "What does that mean for us?" "It means one of you needs to take the CFO position. The other would move to VP of operations." Harold looked between them. "You're both qualified, but I need you to decide who takes which role." In the hallway afterward, Clara grabbed Jonas's arm. "You should take CFO. It's more money, more prestige." "No. You've been here longer. You built this department. Jonas, this is your chance. Take it." "Not if it means you get pushed aside." They argued about it for days. Clara insisting Jonas deserved the promotion. Jonas insisting he wouldn't take a position that diminished Clara's role. Finally, Harold called them back in. "Have you decided?" "We have a proposal," Jonas said. "Co-CFOs. Split the responsibilities, share the title. We've been managing together for months. Make it official." Harold raised an eyebrow. "That's unconventional." "So is our whole situation," Clara said. "But it works. We're better together than either of us would be alone." Harold leaned back, considering. "You know what, fine. Co-CFOs. But if this fails, it's on both of you." "It won't fail," they said in unison. Walking out of Harold's office, Jonas felt Clara grab his hand and squeeze hard. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not letting me disappear again. We're partners, in everything. That's not changing." April arrived with wedding preparations in full swing. They'd decided on a sunset ceremony under the oak tree with dinner on the back patio. Small, intimate, just 40 people who actually mattered. 1 week before the wedding, Clara got a call that made her drop her phone. Jonas found her standing in the kitchen, face white. "What happened?" "That was a woman named Patricia. She says she was my mother's best friend. She read about the wedding in the newspaper announcement. She wants to come." Jonas picked up the phone, checked the call log. "Do you remember her?" "Vaguely. She and my mom were close before Mom got sick. But I shut everyone out after the funeral. I never called her back, never answered her letters." Clara's voice shook. "What if she hates me?" "Call her back and find out." Clara called Patricia that evening while Jonas sat beside her for support. The conversation lasted 2 hours. Clara cried through most of it. When she finally hung up, her eyes were red but peaceful. She doesn't hate me. She's been worried about me for 5 years, waiting for me to reach out. Clara wiped her face. She wants to come to the wedding. She wants to walk me down the aisle if I'll let her. Will you? I think I need to. My mom would want that. The night before the wedding, Clara couldn't sleep. She found Jonas on the back patio staring at the oak tree strung with lights. Nervous, he asked, terrified. What if I'm not good at this? At being a wife and a mother? You're already good at it. You've been doing it for months. But tomorrow makes it real, legal, permanent. Jonas turned to face her. Clara, you've already saved my life in every way that matters. You've given Ariana a mother. You've given us a home. Tomorrow is just making official what's already true. What if I mess it up? Then we'll fix it together. That's what marriage is. Choosing each other every day even when it's hard. He took her hands. I'm not scared. Are you? Clara thought about it. About the woman she'd been a year ago, cold alone, dying slowly in an empty penthouse. About the woman she was now painting again, laughing again, loving again. No, she said finally. I'm not scared. I'm ready. The wedding day dawned perfect. Clear skies, warm breeze, spring flowers blooming everywhere. Ariana wore a pale blue dress and carried a basket of petals. Patricia arrived early and hugged Clara so tight she could barely breathe. Your mother would be so proud of you, Patricia whispered. So proud. Jonas got ready in the bedroom while Clara dressed in Ariana's room. When it was time, he walked out to the oak tree and waited, heart-hammering. The guests settled into their chairs. The string quartet began playing. Ariana walked down the aisle first, scattering petals with serious concentration. Then Patricia appeared with Clara on her arm. Jonas forgot how to breathe. Clara wore a simple white dress, hair loose around her shoulders. No veil, no train. Just her. And that smile, the real one. The one that reached her eyes and made her look 10 years younger. She walked toward him steady and sure, not a trace of hesitation. When she reached the oak tree, Patricia kissed her cheek and whispered something Jonas couldn't hear. Clara nodded, eyes shining, then turned to face him. They'd written their own vows. Jonas went first, voice thick with emotion. Clara, a year ago, I answered a phone call at midnight from someone who needed help. I had no idea that call would change my entire life. You taught me that broken people can heal, that walls can come down, that it's never too late to start over. You gave my daughter a mother and gave me a partner and gave us both a home. I promise to choose you every day, to be honest when you're building walls, to remind you that you're loved even when you forget, to paint with you and laugh with you and grow old with you. I love you, completely, forever. Clara wiped her eyes before starting her own vows. Jonas, you saved my life. Not just that night at the bar, but every day since. You showed me that kindness doesn't need a reason, that decency isn't earned. That love is a choice we make every single day. You gave me back my humanity. You gave me Ariana. You gave me a family when I thought I'd be alone forever. I promise to be worthy of that gift, to love you fiercely, to protect what we've built, to be present even when it's scary, to keep choosing healing over hiding. I love you and Ariana more than I knew it was possible to love anything. You're my home. You're my everything. There wasn't a dry eye watching. The officiant pronounced them married, and Jonas pulled Clara into a kiss while everyone applauded. Ariana ran up and threw her arms around both of them. We're a real family now, she shouted. We were always a real family, Clara said, scooping her up. Now it's just official. The reception was perfect. Good food, better company, toasts that made everyone laugh and cry. Patricia told stories about Clara's mother that made Clara smile through tears. Harold gave a surprisingly emotional speech about watching them transform the company and each other. But the best moment came when Ariana stood on her chair and clinked her glass for attention. I want to say something, she announced. Everyone quieted. I used to be sad a lot because I didn't have a mommy. But now I have the best mom in the whole world. And the best dad. And we have a house with a yard, and I'm going to get a dog soon. She looked at Jonas and Clara. Thank you for being my family. I love you both so much. Clara burst into tears. Jonas lifted Ariana down, and they held each other, the three of them, while the guests applauded. Later, after the reception ended and the guests went home, Jonas and Clara stood under the oak tree watching the sunset. Ariana was inside with Patricia, probably eating too much leftover cake. We did it, Clara said softly. We really did. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. Nothing's going to go wrong. We've already survived the hard part. Jonas pulled her close. This is the good part. This is the part where we get to be happy. Clara leaned her head on his shoulder. I can't believe this is my life now, that I get to wake up every morning with you, with Ariana, in a house that feels like home. Believe it, you earned this. We both did. They stood there until the stars came out. Two people who'd saved each other, watching the life they'd built together settle into place. Inside, Ariana's laughter rang out. The house glowed warm against the darkness. Everything they'd fought for, everything they'd hoped for, right here in this moment. 6 months later, Jonas came home to find Clara in the bathroom, hands shaking, holding a pregnancy test. It's positive, she whispered. We're having a baby. Jonas pulled her into his arms, both of them crying. We're having a baby. Ariana was over the moon when they told her. I'm going to be a big sister. Really? Really, Clara confirmed. What do you think about that? I think it's perfect. I can teach them to paint. And Daddy can read them his book. And you can make them terrible pancakes that we pretend are good. They all laughed through their tears. Clara's hand found Jonas's, and he squeezed it tight. This was it. This was everything. The family they'd built from broken pieces. The home they'd created from nothing. The love that had saved them both. A year ago, Clara had been drunk and alone in a bar, calling the one person she thought might help. A year ago, Jonas had been barely holding it together, wondering if he'd ever be more than adequate. Now they were married, expecting a baby, running a company together, raising Ariana together, painting and writing and living and loving, and finally breathing easy. Some people save others without realizing they're saving themselves. That's what Clara had written in the note she'd given Jonas that morning. Inside the velvet box was a watch, simple and elegant, with an inscription on the back. You answered. Everything changed. Forever grateful. C. Jonas wore it every day, a reminder that one phone call, one choice to be decent, when cruelty would have been easier, had given him everything he never knew he needed. That night they put Ariana to bed together. Clara read while Jonas did the voices, making their daughter giggle. When she finally fell asleep, they tiptoed out and stood in the hallway of their home. Happy? Jonas asked. Happier than I have words for. Clara took his hand. Thank you for answering your phone that night. For not giving up on me. For showing me what family means. Thank you for calling. For being brave enough to change. For loving us. They walked to their bedroom, climbed into bed, and held each other in the darkness. Outside, the oak tree swayed in the breeze. Inside, their daughter slept peacefully, dreaming of being a big sister. And in Clara's belly, their future was just beginning to grow. This was redemption. This was healing. This was two broken people choosing each other every single day and building something beautiful from the wreckage of what they'd been. This was home. This was family. This was love that saved and kept saving over and over, choice by choice, day by day, forever. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything.